Hello fellow Voltarians, this is Chris and I'm going to show you how to turn your level 1 Voltec charger that came with your car and turn it into a level 1 and a level 2 charger that can be switched with an adapter that I'll show you how to make. You'll need a soldering iron, solder, wire strippers, wire cutters, a Torx 20 bit with a screwdriver, and a 4-prong plug and receptacle, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So the first thing you need to do is take all the 6 of these screws out of the back. There's pretty easy to get to. I am that fast. So remove that out of the way. Take the top of it off. There's 2 pieces there with the light rods or light guides. Same screws on the inside. All the screws are the same size a bit, so you don't have to worry about going back and forth to find which bits you need. Those cable clamps you can just put to the side. I just keep the screws in them. Then there's 5 screws holding the board on to the backing. Those come off. Fairly easy to get to. It's a good thing that the bit that I used is magnetic. Take the backing out of the way, move the screws out of the way. You don't want those falling in there. So from here, you're going to see this is the input that goes up to your 110 outlet, and it goes to 3 points. You have the ground, that's the ground. You have the hot, which is the black one, and on the other side is the neutral. And you'll notice on the board it also says it says N for neutral and L2. This is a jumper we will be removing completely. That will not be used anymore. So the very first thing we want to do is to measure the existing length of input cord, because we want to make our new input cord be the same size. So opening that up, use your favorite indoor-outdoor rated 10 gauge. I think I used 10 gauge in this one. Yeah. 10 gauge is overkill, but I just had some laying around from a different project. Clean any of the, there's talcum powder or something in there, I don't know. I had to actually cut some more of that back. You'll see it magically getting shorter later on the video. These are the points that we want to completely desolder and clean out. You'll see how we do that. This is a quick and dirty way to clean out. You could also have a vacuum or a suction desoldering tool that sucks out the solder. So clean those out really good. You can also heat it up and just blast it with air, and it'll blow it out. So we want to make sure that this is the input wire. This is the grommet we definitely need to reuse to keep it watertight, or water resistant anyways. The new wire we're going to use, oh, don't throw away that plug, we're going to use that later. The new wire is going to be thicker, much thicker, so we do need to drill this out. It is kind of a pain because of the material, the rubber that's made with, so I just used a big old drill bit. It takes a while. You can use your hand, it'll get away from you for a little bit, like this, so you can grab onto it. Put it on a vise, whatever. You can just kind of auger it out, clean it out. Not a pretty thing to do. Once you've gotten it cleaned out, you can get your new wires in there, and it looks nice and pretty. You want to line it it up to make sure, see how it looks. With the other one, they're about the same length. So you can always cut that back a little bit more if you need to. The goal is to put that grommet in there beforehand. So here we're feeding the newly cleaned off or newly stripped wires back into the same original colors. White's the neutral, that's where it was before. And heavy doses of soldering without getting it anywhere else, making sure we're steering clear of any of the other electronics, any of the other high voltage areas, because we want to keep the magic smoke in the charger. So there's a neutral. We're still using the neutral, and here's the ground. We're still using the neutral and the hot leg because the brains, that transformer that you saw on the other side, and all the logic circuits of the charger, those actually still use 110 or 120 volt AC. So we're not going to attempt to convert that to 220, 240 at this time. So there's our first leg of hot, back in the same location. Nice and thick. Try not to let the copper be exposed, because it can corrode a little bit. It's pretty airtight in there, but it's good to keep the copper covered up. Don't burn yourself like that. Okay, we're back to normal, except for we have this red wire here. This is our second leg of 110 or 120. This will be put in the smaller of the two bladed, or the jumper holes there. I have a feeling that was not originally a jumper. There's probably some type of other relay that would go there, because those are slots, like for a relay or something. Maybe a fuse, I don't know. Clipper Creek uses this board for, I think, several different chargers. And that's fine. It's easy for us to modify. Some other neat things, if you look on the board, there's a little place for an LED light if you wanted to run an additional wire up through the J-plug handle. So this one is a bit tricky because you have a flat hole. It's the same gauge, but it's flat. So you have to flatten that round wire a bit to get it in there. This is a little bit of a pain, but once you get it in there, you can kind of twist it and it'll squeeze itself in there. Try again. It's not the easiest thing, no matter how much you clean out the solder from that hole. But once it's in, this is one of the easier ones to solder. It stays put. Third time's a charm, maybe? There we go. I probably could have just fast forward part of that. But if you get the first try, I'll email you a cookie. So solder just like the other ones. Nice and fat. Cover up the copper. Yep. And if you need need to do a little bit on the top side. Clean it up a little bit. You do want to be careful because these are the main load points where all that level 2 juice is going to come through, both the red and the black. So that looks okay. So now that we've got it connected together and soldered up properly, the hard part's done. I put it back in the case. Reverse order the screws. The inside ones don't have the security little pole thing in the middle, so you can tell which ones are which. And I've chosen to put the little retainer part on the wires themselves because the grommet also acts as a sealant and a retainer whenever you put the top part on, so there's not a lot of stress that's going to be placed on that end. Feel free to comment if you want to do it differently. Watch this wire here because the light guides for the two LEDs can go right there, so make sure that that part is clear. You'll see there's two LEDs. There's actually a place for 4 of them, but Clipper Creek and General Motors only wanted to pay for 2 of them, I guess. So the test is, I have a 1450 outlet in my garage that I normally use for my Tesla, and you can see the Tesla UMC. I've made an adapter. There's my smoke detector, just in case anything happens. It's always there. I've got it connecting to a 1420 twist lock. That's a 1420 is a 4-position lockable 20 amp plug and receptacle. So it's plugged in, breaker's on, green light, everything looks good. At this point, the only thing using up power is the 120 go into the logic board. So we're going to plug it in. And well, watch for smoke, watch for fire. No, nothing. Everything looks fine. They honked at us once, honked at us twice, and nothing's glowing red. Everything looks good. I have mine set up to do a scheduled charge at night because my electricity is free at 9. So I press the charge now button, and it beeped once, waited a few seconds, and then it beeped a second time. So let's look at it and see how it's charging. Hey, level 2, looking good. Level 2 at home. Now this charger is the Clipper Creek version. I think this is the one that was normally on like the 2013 or 14. Mine's a 14, and this is what it came with. If yours looks like mine, this will work the same way. So now we're going to make the level 1 adapter. So we see we have the red X. I remember that because it's a computer thing here, the big red X. I always remember it. You can, X or Y doesn't matter. So you might have some people that are religious about that. They went black on the X, but with 220, 240 doesn't matter. Just remember green and white. So we want to clip off green and not the white. We want to clip off the black a little bit. The reason why we do that is because the white, if we remember, used to, when it was a level 1 charger, it used to touch where the new red is and the white. So we remember that on our plug that the new red one is touching the X connector. So we'll remember that in just a second. So the black and green, the ground and hot go in their respective ports on the. This is still a 14. It's an L1420. It's a lockable receptacle, so it's an L1420R receptacle, and the plug would be an L1420P for plug. And L is lockable. I'm sure you got that. You Voltarians are smart enough to figure that out. So put our black in the Y. So you can see. Yep. Tighten it down, torque it down really good. Gotta make sure those 8 or 12 amps safely go through that big fat connector. So the reason why the white is so long is because we're going to strip the middle of it. I'm not going to. I mean, you can clip it if you want to, but stripping the middle of it at that point is better because we're not actually removing contact. So if you don't have these kind of strippers, I highly recommend them. I used them for a previous job many years ago, and they're amazing. You can find them on Amazon, eBay. Many different manufacturers make them. So we're exposing that area. Bend it in half. Squeeze it down to a point a little bit. You can twist it a little bit if you want. And that's going to go in the X. That's where the red was. On the plug part, it's still connected to the charger. I'm sorry, the EVSE. For you religious fanatics. And then we'll take that end of that white. Now that we've had a little bit of insulation move up, we're going to strip that off. Since that end is tinned, I can't really use my fancy stripper because it would pull things apart. So good old-fashioned wire cutters. So that's going to go back into where the white one was. So this would be the jumper that you would see if you were using this as a level 1 and level 2 without the safety of the ground. So this gives you the jumper if you're using it for level 1. It takes the jumper away if you're using it for level 2. But you have to use, for safety's sake, you have to use a 4-prong 220 outlet or receptacle for this. Because we still want that leg, that extra leg of 110. Now, it might not be pretty, but I think it is. It's do it yourself. It's make your own stuff. It saves some money. You're using the EVSE that came with the car, and you're spend a few bucks on some little plugs and receptacles and a little bit of wire, a little bit of a four wire wire or 4-conductor wire, and you've made yourself an L2 charger. It'll charge just as fast as a Clipper Creek 20 or 25 or 70 or whatever. And if you wanted to hardwire it, you can do that too. I just did this if you wanted it to be both level 1 and level 2. So I have the adapter that I showed you earlier. That goes from 1450 plug. That's like 50. It's a 50 amp outlet, 4 conductor. See, there's our adapter. So yeah, this is it. Enjoy. And as you can see, I've got my little adapter there. And if you have any questions, hit me up on the Facebook group and or the GM Volt forums or the comments here below. Have a nice day.